8:30, we'll call the meeting to order. Can we have roll call, please?
John Wigheimer,
Here.
Stacy Hassel, Tom Duffy, Steve Carrianen, Randy Newman. You have a quorum. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please read the certification of compliance?
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. The meeting agenda is set. Public comments. Is anybody here with public comments? Anybody online? No? Okay. I ask we consider approval of the meetings from the previous meeting.
I'll second.
Motion by Tom Duffy to approve, second by Randy Newman. All those in favor? Any opposed? Great. Number 8, Sawyer County Agricultural Fair Association report. Welcome.
Good morning, Rick Christian with Sawyer County Fair President. Our update from this year's fair. Our numbers were about the same. We had about 1,500 people for each night, Friday and Saturday, Sunday or Thursday and Friday, sorry. Saturday was about 2,500 people. Sunday we were down a little bit, but it was a nice day, so I kind of expected that. Some of the projects we did, we redid all the lighting in the grandstand area, which was a huge change, and added our flagpole. And we also worked on some of the parking lot lighting, light that up, make it safer. This year we were planning on getting rid of our snow fence and actually putting fence up, make it more secure, because we actually have to find people to patrol that area to keep people from sneaking into the fair. And right now we have all of our grandstand events for 2025 are all scheduled. Our bands are booked, carnival's booked, so we're way ahead of our schedule for booking everything and preparing for 2025.
What bands do you have? You know off the top of your head?
Friday night is the Dweebs. Now I'm working on a sponsor to pay for them.
Fantastic.
And Saturday night, I haven't decided if I'm gonna keep the same band I had this year or do something different. Oh,
What can you do to increase the numbers?
what's that?
What can you do to increase the number of people who come? What do they like? What's the most popular?
It's just hard because this time of the year, you get a 90-degree day, people aren't coming to the fair. So you need a 70-degree day. That's too windy to be on the lake, and we've had ups and downs, and we keep changing up different things. We've changed what we're doing for a grandstand event on Saturday night with the cars. Changed up theirs. We're adding a nitro circus, which is freestyle motorcycles to it. Just adding some different things to try and get people, but I think it's just hard to get more and more support to keep growing. Our numbers have always stayed right around the same. We've had some up years, and
What the carnival? How's that?
the carnival does really good. We actually contract them. They bring in a certain amount of rides is what they're contracted, and the carnival actually they're contracted to bring in 12 big rides, and being that they're not far from here, they bring just about everything they have and fill up as much spots that they can. So they do a really good job of filling up and making sure rides are all running good and everything.
And can you say what you do year round? Because I think people think that it's just one weekend, but you do a lot out there year round, correct?
Yes. So the fair board, which we only have 9 spots for fair board members, actually work on the fair throughout the year, whether booking things, just planning for the next year, setting up vendors. But we also have to take care of the grounds. The county doesn't do it for us. It's our own time that we do it, and most of it's our own money that comes out of our pocket. Lawn mowing, some of the repairs and stuff we just take care of, and but it's all year long. So you get a downtime in the winter because there's nothing going on there. But starting as soon as you can start mowing or cleaning up around there, we're there a couple times a week at least. And then the month before the fair, I think we're there every night, it seems like.
Do you have any feel for attendance, how much of that is Sawyer County residents versus out of state? Any feel for that?
No, we don't really track it. We probably could some way. I think it's a mixture of both, because you get a lot of, if you go through the parking lot, there's a lot of out-of-state plates but it's hard to really track if,
Yeah, and I think attendance, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I've always heard that often it's, not that it matters, but I'm just more curious that, out-of-staters are more than that Sawyer County residents there, which is fine. I mean,
yeah, it's, yeah, I don't know. I know it's a Thursday is usually a big day that most of the county residents come for the family night. And we changed that up a little bit this year. We tried to do a food drive for Spider Lake Church, and it didn't go as they had hoped it gone.
I understand how that goes. Well, you're doing a great job. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 9, University of Wisconsin Extension Department report.
I'm just lurking today.
Oh, okay. I saw you in the audience, so, okay, fantastic. I don't keep track of well, you're here. I thought this must be the month.
I just like to be.
And you keep up the good work too. Thank you. Number 10, Hayward Lakes Visitors and Convention Bureau.
Good morning, everyone. Mindy Simons, Executive Director of Hayward Lakes. Just wanted to talk a brief minute about our vacation guide planning. So September is the month when we really do the majority of our work putting together our guide. It's a all hands on deck, all office effort, but things really start in April. We start securing our paper order at that time with our printer. June, we start our cover contest, which goes through August. We picked a new cover this year. It's great. And then also in June, we send out our membership invoices, which is where we get changes back from our members who, may have increased a number of bedrooms or decreased or changed a few things with their lodging or business that they have in the vacation guide. So then September is the month that we do the bulk of the work, make all the changes. Our marketing partner members actually sell most of the advertising in the guide. So that is Hayward Area Chamber of Commerce, Birchwood Area Chamber of Commerce, Winter Area Chamber of Commerce, the Quiet Lakes Tourism Association, and the Lake Chippewa Resort Association. So the majority of the ads that you see in the book are sold by our marketing partners. Some of them use it as a fundraiser. Others just sell them to increase their visibility. And then Deb Kurzweil at Advanced Printing does our pre-press work. She's really the glue that holds the whole project together. She's been, we just asked her the other day how many guides she has actually done with us, and it's well over 20. So she does a great job. And then we do a few different prints of the guide, and then internally it goes through every person's hands in our office to proof. Inevitably, something changes between print date and the summer, but we try to do the best that we can to put out the most accurate information that will help visitors and guests. So in addition to handing out our guides locally and mailing them from the information center, we have a wide distribution channel. So we have 62 different visitor centers across the state that actually receive a drop shipment of our guides in December when they ship out. This is per their request. We actually go through and audit them every year to make sure they're getting the amount that they want, so we can, not have undue shipping charges in the middle of the year. Then we have local mailboxes in Sawyer County get a copy with the 4 seasons. And then 5 Star Marketing distributes guides in the small newsstands that you see in certain restaurants and convenience stores. Vector and Ink distributes at our targeted rest areas along the I-90 and 94 corridor. We have very targeted distribution there to get the most traffic that we can. And then CTM Media distributes in and around the Twin Cities. So in 2025, we're looking to distribute around 66,000 guides. We also do a digital version on our website, which receives upwards of 200,000 unique page views. So it's a big project in September and an important one for the office. Any questions?
I just want to say that's impressive because I don't know if I speak for everybody, but you see all those things you talked about, and you kind of, if you glance at it, you take it just for granted, not realizing there's so much behind it, and which makes us a great tourist spot.
Yeah.
So thank you.
No problem.
Any questions?
You know, Tom, I think we've had a really good summer. I've been calculating our numbers for the office, for walk-ins, and for our distribution, and it looks like things have been solid. And actually, last weekend, I personally wasn't here, but our walk-in numbers for the office were way up. So we've had a very solid fall so far, which is wonderful. Thanks.
And she's also doing the fall color tours. So if you get any pictures, send them to her.
Northwest Regional, presentation, I'm sorry, by Cheryl Treeland. Sorry about that.
Good
Got ahead
morning.
of myself.
Good morning. I put a blue folder up there for each one of you. I'm not going to go through all of it, but just a little history on what you have in front of you there. I retired a couple of years ago, and I've been involved with Hayward Lakes Resort Association, Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau, and Sawyer County Rec over decades. And I used to be blonde when I started this job. Anyway, I have always in the back of my head, when I thought if I ever had time, I'm going to go back to all the Hayward Lakes minutes, all the Hayward Lakes books, compile information because nobody's ever done it, to see where we've been, where we're going to, the changes in tourism in Sawyer County. My cover letter that you have there in the very front is just tourism. We've had tourism here actually in the late 1800s. There was actually tourism here. And I know we had several spots on the pre-Chippewa flowage on the Chippewa River and on the natural lakes there that we'd have professionals coming up to Phillips by train and then getting on buckboards and going up the Chippewa Trail and coming to the Chippewa flowage and going out with the Native American guides hunting and fishing. So that's the history that's there. As the roads got more developed and transportation with cars becoming much faster and easier to get around, fishing camps and private clubs started springing up all over from the 1920s into the 1950s and beyond. And as this happened, the owners and operators of these businesses, typically at that time, they weren't people that were in it for a year-round business. A typical scenario for the old resorts 40 years ago and beyond, where typically would be a husband and wife couple that would come up. One of them would stay there and run the business from Memorial Day to Labor Day, and then they'd be back to the city somewhere earning an income. All right, so it was kind of a social thing for them and getting them up north. All right. And in the mid 1930s, the Chippewa Flowage Resort Association started, the Lake Chippewa Flowage Resort Association. And some of those members, by the time we got into the early 50s, were talking with other people with the success that they were having with the fishery and getting people up to their fishing camps and in the whole area here, because it was growing all over with the tourism coming in. And at that time, in 1951, they got the business owners together besides the Chippewa Flowage ones, and they pulled them all together and they formed what was called the Hayward Lakes Resort Association, which was incorporated actually in November of 1953. Quentin Johnson, who used to be the owner and president of People's National Bank, he was a young attorney at that time. He did all the paperwork for it. And the business owners at that time weren't primarily resort owners. They were like Walt West that started Hayward Dairy, Quentin Johnson, who was an attorney here in town, Kenny Shugru, who had the gas station where Panda House is now. So those are the type of people that were all pulling this together to form the Hayward Lakes Resort Association. And the first book was printed, first guidebook that Mindy was just talking about was printed in 1953. I went back to those books and was pulling as much information as I could from those to come up with information I've got here in front of you. Okay, and the mission of the Hayward Lakes Resort Association was basically to promote tourism outside of Sawyer County, to bring people in to their fishing camps and to try to do it all over the Midwest. At that time, what started to grow were the sport shows, the sports show industry. Typically then they were 10-day shows. We were going to Indianapolis, we'd be going to Chicago, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, the Quad Cities, all over, even as far down as into Missouri and stuff, that people were going for sport shows. So it was a pretty expensive venture. Okay, but it was working and it was bringing people into the area. Okay. Then, in the early 60s, that same group of dedicated volunteers for the Hayward Lakes Resort Association which basically their only income they had were dues from their members, and they had commissions that were paid in from people that would stay, so that if someone called in January or was at a sports show and said, well, you know, can you book me something for July for my family vacation? Okay, if they were further away from the vacation date that they booked, they paid less commission, all right? So it might be like a 5% commission if it was booked in January. If it was July and somebody drove into town, which is what they typically used to do, a lot of it, people would just drive into town, drive into the information center, and they'd say, you know, I'm looking for a place for me and my family. What do we have? I'm here for 3 or 4 days or a week, whatever. And Hayward Lakes Resort Association would have a staff that was manned there. They would contact, they'd know a list of people who might have openings, and they'd contact them. And obviously they would pay them about a 20 or 25% commission for a last minute filling of a vacancy like that. So that was the only income that Hayward Lakes Resort Association had, was dues and commissions, okay? Well, in the early 60s there, like, these sports shows are getting very expensive. They're getting a lot of people that are volunteering to go to these shows. And to volunteer to go to them wasn't just that you had to go yourself and get yourself there. You had to take all the books with you. And at that time, because the sports shows were so much dependent on mounts, whether it be wildlife mounts or fish mounts, they'd actually design trailers that you could pull in, and then they'd jackknife the tongue down underneath it and stand it up, and wings would come out, and the displays would all be mounts like you would see inside of Anglers or Moccasin Bar or something like that. You would have those mounts that would be there to attract people to your booth at the sports show booth. So it was a pretty big volunteerism that brought all that to fruition. Then in the early 60s, they're like, you know, we're bringing all this tourism. The base is really growing here in Sawyer County. We're going to go to the county board and see what we can get out of the county board. So they went there, and by 1962, the county board formed a new entity called the Sawyer County Recreation Association, which was a nonprofit for tourism promotion. And I believe at the time, if I remember right, I don't remember that one, but I know that by the time we got into the 70s, it was like $66,000 that was given to Sawyer County Recreation Association. Well, they had the same mission basically, and their membership that they had of the Sawyer County Rec were all of the nonprofits. So it would be like the Chippewa Flowage Resort Association, the Nelson Lake Resort Association, the Birchwood used to be Ballard, the Birchwood Area Lake Association, the Quiet Lakes, et cetera. All of them were members. And then as the Berkey got going, the Berkey had a seat at the table, and all these people would meet monthly. And, you know, could be 20, 25 people very easily that would be meeting there. They had their board of directors, and they had their officers there of Sawyer County Rec. And what happened was they started doing the same basic thing as what Hayward Lakes was doing, only we had this budget over here, which was much larger budget that the Sawyer County Rec had. So they started flip-flopping sports shows. So say one year at the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel show, which has always been a big show for this area. One year Hayward Lakes would go, the next year Sawyer County Rec would go. Well, they were duplicating sports show booths, which were expensive. They were duplicating the same volunteers to go out and cover for whatever show they were going to. And they did this all across the Midwest promoting. Okay. By the time they moved forward, and that was using taxpayer funds because it was coming from the county budget. By the time they moved forward from there, we got into the early 2000s, and I was heavily involved in it at that time. And we thought, we're passing checks back and forth. The Hayward Lakes Resort Association staff is manning all the stuff, keeping track, organizing, administrating everything that's happening between Sawyer County Rec and Hayward Lakes, and keeping track of all this stuff and reporting back to the county board and all of this stuff. We're like, why don't we merge together? So it was a perfect marriage. And in 2003, we blended Hayward Lakes Resort Association with Sawyer County Recreation Association. So we now had an entity that had dues-based membership, commission-based membership, and county taxpayer funds, okay? We took all that money together, came up with a budget for a marketing plan for all of Sawyer County. So we would be covering the Winter area, the Birchwood area, all of Sawyer County, plus some marketing partners that we'd had in the past, with it being primarily being the cable area. Okay, so all of this came together as Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau, Sawyer County, Wisconsin, USA, all right? And we had some concern at the beginning as why we were called Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. And through a lot of studies, actually, when we were doing Sawyer County Rec and Hayward Lakes Resort Association sports show booths, we had the brilliant idea, or other people, my predecessors, that we're going to become the Door County. We're going to become Sawyer County. So they changed for 2 years. They changed all the booths for Hayward Lakes and for Sawyer County to be Sawyer County, Wisconsin. And it didn't work. Everyone's like, where's Sawyer County? They're thinking of Sainer and they're thinking of everything else. So it didn't work. So after that, became even the Sawyer County Rec booth became the name recognition of Hayward Lakes because people knew Hayward Lakes and they knew the area. And that was before the Big Fish was there, okay? So anyway, it became Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau, Sawyer County, Wisconsin, USA. Okay, our mission statement I have on your information there is to increase the number of visitors to the Hayward Lakes area by communicating the unique resources of our area offers to the seasonally diverse activity segments and to seasonally diverse demographic segments, okay? It's a lot of gobbledygook, but it's exactly condensed in one sentence what we do. Okay, in your folders there, the second page is a yellow page, and that is the outline of what we basically do. The Hayward Lakes Visitor Convention Bureau is basically the bright yellow page, and it's we're the umbrella over all of the nonprofit and some for-profit tourism entities here in Sawyer County. And we have marketing partners, which are people that they pay for their membership to be a part of Sawyer County Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. And we have chambers of commerces, we have lake associations, and you can see the various ones. We have Sawyer County government, all right? Various townships that we collect room tax and we get a portion of it from, for the town of Hunter, town of Hayward, town of Bass Lake, and town of Round Lake. So that they're all in here. We meet monthly except for June, July, and August. And we do a marketing plan for everything for all of Sawyer County. Everything from the book you've heard about, the guidebook, okay, which started in 1953, is still going strong. We do everything with all the social media. We do the stuff with TV. We do stuff with outdoor writers. We do anything we can to promote. We get grants. We're working on writing grants for various things, joint effort marketing plans through the Department of Tourism and other grants that are available out there to try to promote all of Sawyer County, whether it be trails, whether it be fishery, whether it be bird watching, it doesn't matter. We promote, all right? We also offer to any of our members or constituents out there, if they've got an event, say like the Cranberry Fest this weekend, if they want to use the Hayward Lakes VCB office as their office for information, we have no problem with that. We will promote. We promote it on all of our websites and everything and move that forward. So that's our mission of Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. Okay, the next page, and this is gonna be the last thing I'm gonna kind of go through here. The next page has got some different colors on it and stuff. And I list all the marketing partners that we have and the number of marketing partner members that they do have. Whether if it's a municipality that's collecting room tax, how many businesses are collecting room tax, and how many tourist rooming house licenses, because I'm on that committee also, and Andy's gotten us that information, how many tourist rooming house licenses there are within that municipality. So as you look down here, marketing partners, we got LCO tribal government, okay, they don't have any specific number of marketing partners, they just give us a lump sum. Sawyer County government, basically anything you've got there is all. Hayward Area Chamber has 381 members. Now that means that those 381 members, being a member of the chamber, okay, are also members of the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau at a secondary level. So it's kind of like I said, it's like coming in the back door. Okay, when we designed the umbrella over everything, we knew that people's first dedication and the first passion is going to be to the closest unit entity that they have to their business, all right? Some cases, it might be the Hayward Chamber of Commerce. The Winter area, it would be probably the Winter Chamber of Commerce. Birchwood area, Birchwood Chamber of Commerce, et cetera. Could be a lake association like myself with the Chippewa Flowage Resort Association. Okay, all of those, by them joining as a marketing partner, all of their membership now comes into the fold of being a member of the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. Okay, the different colors we have here, the Chippewa Flowage Resort Association, we have 49 members that we pay in for, because we have a minimum of $10 being paid. The Chippewa Flowage Resort Association totally supports the VCB. We pay in $5,000 rather than $10 per member. Okay, we pay $5,000 per year. We've done that since the beginning. The town of Hunter collects room tax. They have 55 entities that are collecting room tax right now, but we have 64 tourist rooming houses. So there could be a disconnect here, that it could be that part of those 55 coming in could be from a marketing entity like a VRBO or Airbnb or Property Management of Hayward, et cetera. So that would be why there could be discrepancy. There could be because someone out there is not paying room tax and the town of Hunter is not aware of it. Okay, the Quiet Lakes Tourism got 11 members that they have there as marketing partners. They have 69 tourist rooming houses licensed in the town of Spider Lake. As you look at these numbers of licensed rooming houses, a lot of these places, when we go to discuss room tax with them from the VCB, they're like, we don't have any resorts here anymore. Well, yeah, but take a look at how many. You got 69 licensed properties in the town of Spider Lake, okay? The winter area, we talked the winter area down there. They're like, we don't have any resorts down here. We have very, very few. We're not like you guys on the Chippewa Flowage, all right? Well, when you look at it, every entity that we have here has got more than what the Chippewa Flowage does, all right, when you add them all up together. So the town of Round Lake or the town of Hayward and the town of Bass Lake, they were not available, the number that they had at the time we talked to them last week. But yet you can still see the number of tourist rooming houses that we have here. We got 586 that we have licensed that we know of in the ones that we have listed there. Okay, the next things that you have, you've got kind of a lime green. These are things going back through all of the books, and I'm not going to go through them, explain quickly by all of the lakes, all right? And you can see all the lakes that are on there, and you'll see how many members of the Hayward Lakes Resort Association, which was 1953 to, at the second page there, 2003, how many members there were on each of these lakes. Now, this would be something interesting because as you look at it, you go down to Round Lake, you look, and I've got them highlighted in yellow, the ones that are the peak time that they had. You look back 1956, 1958, we didn't have 1957, and I didn't have minutes either, so I don't know what happened that year. But we had 30 members of the Hayward Lakes Resort Association in 1956 and 1958, okay? As you go across the line, you go over to the next page, you see where we're dwindling down. We're down to 7 now, and of the 7, there's only 2 that are known as resorts, and the others are all private vacation home rentals, okay? You look at some of the others, you look at Coudray and Grindstone, 15 on Grindstone in 58. Now you're looking at, on Grindstone, 2, okay? And those are private vacation home rentals. So that's just something for you to look at to give you a history of where tourism is going. The pages after that, in the bright yellow there, are by lakes, so that you can see, and now this is 2004 to 2024. This is the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau, which it says at the top, but I guess with it stuck in there, you can't read that. 2004 to 2024, by lakes, how many members we had of Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau, okay? There are obviously other people that are out there that are in the business, that are in lodging, that are not members of the VCB, all right? But this gives you, again, you can see the track record of where things are going. Okay, the next pages, it has a little blue highlighter on there, shows you by category. So I broke down the VCB because this is more recent history by the total VCB members, all types. So you see in 2004, we had 115, 2024, we were down to 85. Okay, resort members of VCB in the light green. Okay, those would be a resort, what we think of as a resort, okay? If it also had a campground where you have some resorts that might have 6 or 8 or 10 RVs, they're all classified under the resort members. The number of private vacation homes that we have, and these are vacation homes, people that are directly a member of the VCB. So we have those numbers. 2007 was the peak with 29 private vacation home members in there. And this is before all the property management companies were getting going in Airbnb, et cetera. Okay, the number of property management companies, members of the VCB, there were 7 of them. The same year we peaked with private vacation home membership. The motels, conference center, B&Bs members, okay, of Hayward Lakes peaked in 2006. Campgrounds and RV parks, and these are all ones that are members of the VCB. There you're looking at in 2005, there were 8. 2018, there's still 8. 2024, there's 7. And these would be ones that are strictly a campground or RV. They're not a resort per se. They might have a bar there, but they're not there. Okay, the pages after that, you can look through there if you want to see a breakdown by lakes. Again, you can go to Round Lake and take a look across there. 2024, we got 2 on Round Lake. All right. So you see the decrease in there, and the same thing as you go through, it's just documenting each of these, the ones that I just consolidated and went through there. That's just the documentation on it. Okay, I also have it all done on bigger spreadsheets of everything that by lakes. And if I didn't know where it was and couldn't find where they were on a lake, I just have them categorized as not known, what lake they're on or if they're on a lake at all. And they're all categorized. I have them all totally, spreadsheets totally done, and still working on it. But it's something that I think to get this history out here, knowing where we've been, where we've come to, the whole thing with the tourist rooming house regulations and trying to get something passed there. It's where tourism is going, and it's what people are looking for. Is they're looking for amenities, they're looking for, to get away and get up here. And the VCB is doing a great job and will continue to do a great job promoting all of Sawyer County. So any questions? There's stuff for you to look over there and
Yeah.
ponder.
Going forward, I mean, I guess your opinion, are we going to continue to see resorts fade out?
Well, what's happened with the resorts, okay, it started first over in Minnesota, all right? All of your mom and pop resorts in northern Minnesota, where all Minneapolis used to go, all right, was to northern Minnesota. Well, what happened there was all the mom and pop resorts got to the stage where they're going to sell, and the realtors come in, their dear friends, and say, instead of selling your 10 cabins for $15,000 a piece, or instead of selling them the whole resort for, $150,000, I'm going back now, way back. Okay, we'll turn around and sell you, and you've got to find somebody that's got $150,000 to buy it and wants the work of what being a resorter is, all right? Because it's not all fun and games, all right? And they'll say, well, we can turn around. There's a lot more people out there in the population that can afford $15,000 a piece, so we'll get you more money for it, and we can sell them quicker by chopping it up and condoing out. And that's what's happened to the resorts. It started in northern Minnesota first. Now you have the Maddens, the Breezy Points, et cetera, Craigens. All right. It's hard pressed to find a mom and pop resort in northern Minnesota. Well, then those Minnesota people that we never saw. So kid, Len, you know this, we never saw Minneapolis people here. It was hard. You never saw anyone from Minneapolis. They were all going straight north. It was a lot easier for them. Those people moved over, started in the Siren area, started into the Spooner area, and got to the Hayward area. So now you look at how many people we have from the Twin Cities, and it's predominant. All right. We're close. We're available. We have the Ma Resort still. We have, the bigger properties like Lakewoods, et cetera, if that's what they're looking for in conference centers. So we have more, but what's happening is as people go to sell, all right, I just sold out my share, but I sold shares of stock and sold it to the next generation. Okay, to the 4th generation, and the 5th generation get to play and they're running around and skiing and playing in the water yet. All right, but they'll have their day. So, it's just looking at what you have available for buyers and, how things are going to be sold. And I think you're looking at it, and the VRBOs have made it affordable for a lot of people to try to get on the lake that maybe couldn't afford it if they didn't have the subsidy coming in from rentals of it also. That makes it more affordable for the people to be into the VRBOs.
So it sounds like it's not so much the Airbnb driving the resorts out. It's when the resorts are looking to sell, there's not a market for it
Right.
so much. And so then they're going away that way. And then the vacation,
Well, you
if
look
there's no resort, then the vacation is sucked up by the vacation crowd is sucked up by the Airbnb then.
correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And it's, yeah, I mean, it's harder to find somebody if you turned around and sold a resort and said, we are selling 20 prelims, and we're not. So don't go quoting me on that. And say, okay, we're going to sell this for $20 million. How many people have it out here for $20 million? Not very many. But if we were going to chop it all up and we got 82 vacation homes here, but we can sell them all for $500,000 a piece, where are we at? you know? So I mean, that's what you got to look
Right.
at when you, that's what happens. That's the reality of it, is finding buyers to get rid of, you know, the smaller properties.
We, we don't have to go down a deep rabbit hole on this, but I mean, with that taken in account, the transition from resorts to Airbnb, is there any effect on the county or is it the same? I mean, we're just after, I didn't say we're just after, but I mean, our main interest is tourism. So is there any downside of one vehicle leaving and another one coming from our standpoint?
From our standpoint, and that might be a better question for sure.
I could answer that.
I would say from a tax standpoint, it's been better for us. Like just what she's saying is when you parcel up,
Okay,
those are gonna sell for higher prices. There's more of a
because the
market.
housing,
There's more of a market for somebody to buy an individual unit.
property tax then?
Yeah,
Okay,
at least from the county standpoint.
But the other thing that you have on the downside of it is exactly what we're going through in the Tourist Rooming House Committee, all right, and have been, because we've been through it 3 times now, and I've been on the committee every time, is that you've got all your neighbors that were bought in a residential section, they're no longer in the residential section. You know, they've got yahoos here, they're up for a bachelor party for 2 or 3 nights and raising hell, all right? And that's their next door neighbors. You know, you have the garbage, you have the parking, you have the noise, you have the fireworks, you have all the stuff that you have the lack of respect for the neighborhood, and you lose that by having the Airbnb and VRBOs.
understood.
So
Just a final comment or question. So when you were saying that Sawyer County Rec, so Sawyer County government has always had a hand in the recreation part in Hayward Lakes when they combine.
since
So-
1962.
So the people that say like the government, Sawyer County should not be involved, they're not learning the history. So I'm glad that you brought this history to us. And I just hope that it can succeed, because if you go to our VRBOs, you know, what is the impact that has on you guys? And so just thank you for bringing this to our attention.
And some of the VRBOs, you're seeing them level off and actually starting to come down a little bit, because I think the people got into their properties, they started renting them out, they started finding out what it was like to be a property owner and manage it, even though if they're turning over to a property manager, the abuse that happens to their properties, that, you know, they may be coming up for their 2-week stay in it and find out this isn't what I left behind. And so there's actually kind of a plateauing and a little bit decrease that's happening in it. I think because of those, and people are in it and now they're maybe a little more secure in their own financial, they're like, we can get by without this. All right, and that's what's happening too.
This question probably it's because I'm ignorant on what's going on. I mean, I know what's going on, but I'm not in detail. So, I mean, your thoughts, how there's the Airbnbs that it's a business purely. And then there's the folks that, I'm just making up an example. They snowbird, and so they may rent it out 2-3 weeks to snowmobilers. And it seems like it's the snow that I hear from is those types are like, hey, this is my right, you know, stay out of this. But how much of it is that versus pure business? I mean, any thought on that?
Well,
Does that make sense, my
We've got
question?
599 tourist rooming house licenses that Andy researched in Sawyer County. All right, we're the 3rd largest in the state. All right, as far as number of tourist rooming house licenses, we're out of 72 counties in the state. We're the 3rd largest is Sawyer County, behind Door County and Vilas County. So yeah, are they there? Yes. Are they there? Because all you have to look at and say, okay, there used to be 30 resorts on Round Lake that were members of Hayward Lakes Resort Association. Where are those 30 resorts? They're all people's cabins right now. All right. Or they've been torn down and they're McMansions on the house, on the lake. That's where they're at. So you take all of those, if we added all those numbers up, we'd probably be close to the VRBOs of what we have right now, with what we had in lodging back when we had all the fishing camps and cabins.
And I'm just going anecdotally by what neighbors have said to me, you know, it's my right because I have a place, I should be able to rent it out. And I'm like, well, that's fine. But I think these other ones are businesses that it's a different thing. So I know it's a whole different topic, so we don't have to go down that.
I have a few questions along those lines. The data is like members and number of properties. Do you have a sense, kind of what John's asking about, like the number of units or the number of, occupancy level? Is that going up with the transition from resorts to RV campgrounds and Airbnbs, or where do you think we're at from where we were 30, 40 years ago?
I think the occupancy, the season has grown a lot longer. It used to be, like I said, a lot of your resorts were Memorial Day to Labor Day, and that was it. Lynn, you know that. You grew up here, okay? That was Memorial Day to Labor Day. That was your resort season. If you got anything earlier than that, if you got anything later than that, that was gravy, all right? But that's what they counted on. And a lot of the places just locked up, shuttered up, and they were gone back to the city and working their jobs down there so they could afford to be up here in the summertime and run their business. All of their guests were their friends, all right? And so they were basically charging next to nothing because they were covering their costs, but they're working to subsidize their friends' vacations. And that's what you had to get over, was knowing that you can't keep subsidizing as a business people coming up. You have to charge what's the proper rate to get them operated as a business. And a lot of the ones that went to go sell, where they had the value in the real estate, and Tom, you would know this, they'd had the value in the real estate, and they turn around to go sell and they show their income. I'll give you a classic example. When we bought Treeland Pines from Bob Kamick Sr., we bought it in 1982, $155,000. Okay, we paid for it. At that time, the most he could show on his books was $14,000. We're like, who's going to pay $14,000? Take the real estate out of it, showing you your books, and you're showing $14,000. Of course, he's like, well, we took all the cash off and blah, 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 blah. We're like, hey, that isn't what sells a business, is what you're skimming off of the top, And so that's where it's at. The same property, my grandfather sold him the property in 1928 for $300. So anyway, any other questions at all? Certainly, I've got a lot of data, so.
So looking to the future, what are some people might say we're saturated, but what's our barriers to continue to grow as a tourism economy here?
Well, I was just in the Dells a couple of weeks ago, and people that say that we are the Wisconsin Dells should go visit the Wisconsin Dells. You could probably put 200 of Hayward areas in the Wisconsin Dells. We are nowhere near close, any way, shape, or form of being the Wisconsin Dells. All right. And we never will be, but we continue to grow. You're seeing more and more residential areas that are popping up. We've got the one out there across from the shooting range and stuff like that, with lots selling where people are trying to get away, and not necessarily. When Ken LaCoy built the area out over County Hill there, and everyone thought he was nuts building all those twin homes and everything over there. And that was 1990s, mid 90s when he built those. Now, if anything goes up for sale there, it's sold in 24 hours, after a bidding war on it. So there's more and more people coming to the area. But if you go anywhere, you go to, the suburbs of Milwaukee, what used to be an outlying little burg from Milwaukee, the whole city is where that little burg used to be 25 years ago. Same thing with the cities. Cities has grown over to Hudson, to River Falls. All of that area is all one big, it just keeps growing as our population keeps growing. So.
Last one, I think. Just on the room tax issue, is Hayward Lakes comfortable that you're getting all the people that are supposed to be paying room tax, paying it? Do you work with the towns to track down
Well, we don't work with the towns, but after me trying to get information the other day, I will be working with 2 townships to try to get them to collect. Because I was told by one township that's got like 80 some or 90 tourist rooming house licenses, all right? And she said she's getting room tax on 4 or 5. So I said, you're cheating your taxpayers out of 30% of that money. That's part of your budget that you guys are not collecting. So you're not doing your due diligence for your taxpayer basis, because that money does not come from the taxpayer. It's coming from the people coming to stay here, and it's out of their pockets. All that the lodging entity is doing is collecting it and passing it through.
Well, it sounds like a volunteer tax. Is there's no enforcement or is there,
Well, there is in the ordinance, but no one's doing anything about it. So,
there's
you
no,
know, it's
okay,
just like if we have a
It's been
speed limit of
ignored, yeah.
55 and we let everyone go 100,
right.
no one's going to pay a ticket. Yeah.
That, Andy. As part of the ordinance, we are not supposed to get,
Microphone, yeah.
as part of the ordinance, we are not privy to the information about which entity is paying what. So I believe that's there just for, to keep things as, separate as possible. So it's really a matter of the townships taking that up with with the people who are paying or not paying.
You have an agreement with each of the towns.
Correct.
Correct.
I mean, they allocate it to you and to the resort association or.
Right. We have a contract with each of the 4 municipalities. And then with that, they have created an ordinance, so they should be able to enforce it, that they have, that their constituents that collect room tax have to pay to them. Okay. Anything else?
70% of that room tax going to the town itself? And 30% goes to.
No, well, it's just the opposite. Okay,
Okay, well, 30% goes to the.
30% of the room tax collected goes, 30% goes to the municipality collecting it.
70%.
And 70% then goes to whoever they have their contract with. That's a tourism entity that has and supports staffing and marketing to create overnight stays. Room tax, the basic purpose is to heads in the bed, overnight stays. That's what it's there to create.
So basically, the town is not giving itself that 30%.
That's exactly right. That's what I told him. I said, your constituents are losing out on 30% that can be used for potholes or parks or whatever they want to use it for. And if you're not collecting it, you're not doing your due diligence as a town board.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
bet.
That was extremely informative and
Thank you.
appreciate all the work you put into it.
Thank you.
Robin. Northwest Regional Planning Commission report, such as the written report. Economic Development Corporation report.
Director Lamore asked me to read his report because he is absent today. The incubator is running well. We continue to help potential businesses on a weekly basis. On November 11th and 12th, we'll be offering a Profit Mastery class. Profit Mastery is a 2-day in-person workshop to help you dig into your business finances, gain the knowledge and skills you need to help your business achieve financial success. The workshop provides a hands-on opportunity to learn alongside fellow business owners for a skilled local facilitator. This class normally costs $800, but it will be free for up to 8 Sawyer County guests. The flyer for this event will be out shortly. On November 6th, we'll be offering ESOP training from Matt Weidendrop. I hope I spelled that correctly or said that correctly. With so many businesses in our community being family-owned for generations, businesses succession planning is an important topic. ESOP transition is not new, but more of a foreign concept for many businesses. Matt's goal is to educate business owners on the benefit of creating ESOPs and leaving a successful business for decades more to come. This event is still being worked on a location and time. And he just said, thank you for supporting the economic development of Sawyer County.
Thank you. Library updates.
And nominated me to go first today. No, I'm just, but I'm Donna Nucky from the Winter Public Library, and I wasn't able to report in July because my other job, which is actually my full-time job, was with Extension. We were at summer camp. So I kind of have reflection a little bit over the summer. At Winter Public Library, we offer youth and adult summer programming. Our attendance was a little bit lower this year for in-person, but we had a lot of take-home activities or programming that they were able to do independently on their own. We're finding that our families this summer seem to have been involved in a lot of things going on in the area and are just super busy, but we still were excited with our final numbers when it came to our programming. I have the October calendar of events for the library. This is just 1 month. And I just want to remind you, our library has 3 part-time people, which include myself as the library director. And we have a small building of a 1,200 square foot building. So we offer, I think, quite a bit in our building for as small of a library and entity that we are. We do a lot of partnerships with local businesses and organizations, and of course, the school district for our youth programming. We have Lego clubs, 1,000 books before kindergarten, Race to 100. They're all reading incentive programs. We work with UW Extension Strong Bodies program, which is a senior strength training program. We don't have an instructor. It's all online, a virtual thing, but we offer space and the technology so that local community members can come in and participate in that program through UW Extension. We have on-site youth programming. I talked a little bit about that. Our after-school program with the library, they come down once a week to do hands-on learning in the library. But the after-school program meets Monday through Thursday. So there is sometimes, not that we're babysitters, but sometimes there's no place for youth to go on Fridays. So we offer what we call a kids club where they can come down. We have a certified teacher, which is me, will help them with their homework. And then we have board games and arts and crafts and just a connection time that the youth can come to until parents can pick them up at 5 o'clock. Some things going on that we're super excited about. We have been working for the last couple of years to get outdoor space taken care of. So I included a picture of our structure that was built finally this last, 2 weeks ago. So we have our first outdoor programming event this Friday. We have 5th graders, I believe, from the school coming down during the day and doing a STEM science activity called Bubbleology. So they're going to use that space. It's kind of like our first official programming using our outdoor space. However, the outdoor space is there. We get a lot of people that come and use our library after hours for the Wi-Fi accessibility, and they have already been sitting outside enjoying that space to sit with. In November and October, we do what we call a book giving tree. It's no cost really to the library. We just coordinate it with local organizations and private individuals. We have a Christmas tree we put in the library. Youth can come and, or families can request books for Christmas, and we hang with the request on the tree, and then patrons come in and they can purchase, give us the cost for the book. When we first started this, when I was a newly hired director, I thought, oh yeah, everybody could go out and purchase the book for the youth, but it doesn't work that way because you don't always get that book in hand. So they just give a financial donation for the cost of the book. But it's a way that we give back to our community and make sure that we get books in hands of youth. Friends of the Library has had a really successful fundraising year. And because of that, we did submit a budget, but no increase in the asking of the county board for funds as far as, so we're asking for the same amount that we have for the last few years. We have one more fundraiser, which is our fall raffle fundraiser coming up. And of course, in the fall, I go around and do municipality visits because we are a joint library with 7 municipalities. And so I share my reports with them, and they do offer some financial support as well. And then in the fall, we also have a lot of donors and organizations that give to the library after our season is kind of, we say calming. There used to be a calm season and a busy season, but I feel that we're busy all year long. I included in the report that you have the circulation statistics, a little bit lower this year than we were last year, but our online statistics, our ebooks and audiobooks have increased. So that doesn't mean we have less people using the library, because we also offer support with technology when it comes to using our online circulation. So That's all I have in my report for today. I'd be happy to entertain questions.
How about your garden this year? Did you have a garden?
Yeah, well, it's been harvested already, but we did a salsa garden this year and yes. So we have a class, we work with the elementary school. They come down and plant it in the spring and then they harvest it in the fall. So yes, we put the products out in the vegetables out for the library patrons to take. But some of the vegetables, we create the salsa for taste testing for the youth because we want to get them exposed to our space for our garden is small, but you can still get a lot of produce from it.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you.
Hayward Library.
Good morning. I'm Ann Larson. I am now the director of the Sherman and Ruth Weiss Community Library and happy to do that. I've gave a little newsletter. I wanted to invite everybody to the retirement party for Molly, which is this Friday at 3:00 till 5:00 at the library, and then it goes out to the Out of the Woods Winery. Just a few things here is the Friends of the Library did receive $10,000 and maybe a little bit more from 100 Who Care. And that will be going for blinds in the meeting room. We need those blinds because oftentimes we have meetings in the library and in the meeting room at the same time. And we do need a darkened room in the children's room. It's lovely and bright, but it's not good if you want to show overheads or a movie, even 8:00 on a weeknight during the summer. You know, the sun never sets till 10. So we've had a few meetings in there with overheads and it didn't work out well. And we're so happy that the Friends got the funds to purchase the shades. We also had HLF sponsored an author's night along with Gordon and Christy Adele. And so that was a successful fundraiser for HLF. We also did some community outreach by attending the open house at the school and then also the Ready to Walk. And the Friends of the Library, just like with the Winter Public Library, a lot of people use our outdoor spaces, our patio. They need a place to work on. And so we have 3 new patio tables. One I still need to have built, but one is handicapped accessible and then the other 2 are not. Just a little summary with the summer reading program. And we kind of saw the same thing that Winter did, numbers pretty much the same as last year. But we did have quite a few people at the events that we have on Thursday mornings. So I think when people go, there's nothing to do in Hayward. I think there's plenty of things to do in Hayward. The other thing on here, just to get a feel for more ideas, and hopefully maybe you guys can fill it out too. We're doing an adult programming survey. If you guys want to finish or fill that out, just scan the QR code, or you could go out to the page, or I've got a hard copy at the library too. Just wanted to do a survey to see what people want out there from us. And I'm hoping to do surveys throughout the year upcoming. Couple things to highlight on the bookmark. One thing that I don't have on there last minute, we partnered with Outdoor Ventures and we're going to be showing a midweek movie once a month on October 9th. It just kind of goes with their time that they come into the library, but it's open to the public. We're also having a part of the Wisconsin Science Festival with STEM Kids. And we're also partnered with a new group called Grassroots Gardening Gurus, along with Lynn Marie's Candies and with Heather Harrington. And the kids will be able to learn about apples on October 19th. It's called an Apple-tastic adventure from seed to snack. The other thing, kind of cool, we'll have a trivia night again. It's myself and a librarian from Spooner. We put the trivia together and we broadcast it out to anybody interested, along with all 30 libraries within our system. And it's going to be about cryptozoology. Then we're going to have our annual, fourth annual, I can't believe that, on the 26th, a spooktacular event for children and families. And then new thing on October 29th, we're going to have spooky stories and a stuffy sleepover. And we're going to have our second ultimate puzzle battle on November 2nd. Gave you some statistics also. Our numbers are up a little bit, and along with our ebooks, et cetera, they're up. The other thing, just wanted to point out on the last page, our patron counts, those aren't entries into the library. Those are simply library users. And back in 22, Northern Waters encouraged us to delete quite a few of patron accounts that were inactive. And you can see that they are growing, our patrons. Any questions?
Well, congratulations, and we appreciate you taking over, and,
Oh.
and we appreciate all Molly has done as well. Please tell her that.
All right. Thank you. We'll do. Hopefully somebody can make it to the retirement party.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Motorized trail report.
Good morning, Kathy with Sawyer County Alliance. I don't have an actual report on trail counters. I've been a little behind with that. Some other preliminary data, though, that I read from the counters indicates really high counts, especially over Labor Day weekend. Got a few trails that counted between 2,000 and 3,000 riders just on that weekend. So it's busy. A few weeks ago, the Wisconsin Office of Outdoor Recreation threw out an email blast that had to do with ATVing and a report on ATVing in the state. I'm going to just read a few highlights from that report for you. In early 2024, the Wisconsin ATV Association released an economic impact report that found ATV and UTV riders spent an estimated $4.2 billion in Wisconsin during 2023. This spending occurred across various industries, including motor vehicle dealers, lodging facilities, restaurants, gas stations, and retail stores. The report found that between 2016 and 2023, out-of-state riders increased by 66%, and resident ridership grew by 35%. The report found ATVing generates significant economic activity, from jobs to tax revenues and visitor spending. Tax revenue connected to ATVs in Wisconsin totaled $435.4 million, coming from vehicle sales, fuel sales, income taxes, registration fees, licensing, and other sources. ATV creates direct spending at businesses, and a ripple effect is felt throughout Wisconsin's economy. This ripple effect translated to a total economic impact of $5.4 billion, supporting 39,804 jobs in Wisconsin. In an era also, there's a social impact to it, to ATVing as well, so I want to highlight that. In the report that they provided, it said, in an era where loneliness is a health epidemic declared by the U.S. Surgeon General, motorized sports provides abundant opportunities for social interaction and togetherness. I can attest to that. It's a fun sport and it's a group sport. If you want a copy of the report, I think I sent it to you just this morning. I'm sorry I didn't get that out to you, but it's there's a lot more information. They talk about safety and the Ride Safe Foundation. Last year, about this time, the Alliance did sponsor a Ride Safe Foundation that we put on at the high school for all the school kids. It was successful, but I think if we do it again, we'd need a larger venue and a little more planning. It's a good thing to do. Other than that, I don't really have anything to report unless you have questions.
Is maybe to Hayward Lakes and yourself, or Andy, is there any way to get an idea of that state number and try to narrow it down to roughly what it means to us? Like what portion of that is us, or, I mean, I know it's probably hard to track, but it'd be impactful if we had even a,
It
halfway
is. I
guess.
mean, probably over the last 4 years, I have asked the state, various people, the State Department of Tourism and from this office, if they have exacting numbers for our county. And I've never been successful getting those yet. We are our NORTAC committee is working on developing an economic impact survey, which is ongoing right now. And we plan to put that information together, but it's going to take us another year or two because we didn't have a snow season to capture snowmobiling data last year. So we've got to wait. We've captured quite a bit of ATV data. And then each county involved in that will use that information and then gather information within their counties, be talking to these fine folks about that. And hopefully each county will put together an economic impact report specific just for that county.
yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it'll be great news, but it'd be nice to know it. How about, I think it was last month, was it the LCO, because the counters there that are showing a dip, which I think, may affect the businesses on there. I don't know.
Yes.
Any update on that?
No, we have it in the works to ask LCO to open another route. We haven't done it yet. They did previously request that we wait until this year passes before we ask for any more routes. So it's in the works and it'll take us a little time.
And is that, how do I say this? Is that you wanting to open it up? I mean, what is the feedback from the business? The businesses that are impacted, well, do they speak up on this or are they just get along?
Yes, I hear from them on a regular basis that riders, they can still reach the businesses, but it's a good 30, 40 mile longer trip through some trails that aren't as well maintained. So
Right.
it's a rougher trip. And when you have some of the road routes that easily connect and they're, you're talking 3 or 4 miles, it just makes sense to open
Yeah.
1 or 2 more of those just to provide that access. But
And how many businesses does it affect, you think, roughly?
well, just about every business along the south edge of the flowage along Highway CC all the way up. So I don't have a count off the top of my head.
Are we talking
You're
5, 10,
talking
15, 20?
VRBOs as well.
Yeah.
Bars, restaurants, things of that nature. There's several. I don't have a number. Probably at least 20.
Okay, so that seems big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It is to them. It is to each business. Whether you have two businesses or 20 businesses, when you experience a drop in income that's substantial related to the difficulties getting to that business by ATV, it's a
Yeah, no,
substantial.
and the previous stuff, those numbers show that ATV increases business and
Right.
yeah, in a perfect world, we can do everything we can to open that up, but
Right. That's our goal.
thank you.
Thank you.
Oh. Andy, who makes that call? The tribal governing board makes that call and they tell us what to do. We do as they say. Is that it? Pretty much? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Kathy. Keep up the great work. Non-motorized.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Chairman. Let's see, the Berkey Trail Run just happened a week ago, Saturday. We had a great day up there at Telemark. We had over 1,000 runners. After that event, they now have taken the snowmaking equipment out of storage and plan to start making snow as of November 1st. The first event on snow is the first Friday after Thanksgiving, called the Turkey Brookie Camp on Snow, so the weather permitting. Currently, the registration is over 9,000 people for the Brookie this year, and the goal's been set at 11,250. So they'll make that easily. This year, they've engaged the University of Wisconsin on River Falls to have an economic impact study of what effect economically the Brookie has in the area. So next summer, we'll have an idea and actual figures of what this thing brings into the area, which should be interesting. So other than that, the trail has been busy and we're waiting for snow.
The weather reports that I've seen show for a normal winter. So that means we should have some snow.
Let's hope so.
Did you want to touch on the Berkey Trail Kids winter program?
And not much more than it's in the letter, so.
Okay, but okay, so the registration will open in later October.
Thanks, Tom. Broadband update, Andy.
Yeah, we expected to have at least a couple applications that are gonna be submitted to BEAD by a couple providers to look at today for endorsements. The BEAD process has a specific component where they get points for having a county endorse their application. However, neither of those applications have been complete because all the providers are still waiting for the BEAD maps to be finalized. I think we've seen through their presentations, all the areas of the county that are BEAD eligible, what they're doing between the FCC and the Wisconsin PSC is determining project units. So there might be a chunk of, X number of service locations, households, that'll be part of a unit. And if you're going to apply, you have to agree to take on that whole unit. And I expect that our applications will take on multiple project units, but as of today, the project units have not been finalized, so we won't see any applications until those are done. So I expect that we'll see them in November because the tentative date for submitting applications is December 18th, I think. Steve and I did have a call with Mark Leonard from the PSC last week, just to make sure we're on the same page as them as far as the endorsement process and just where we were. Do you have any other?
No, nothing really to add. Mark did say he'd even review our
Endorsements.
endorsements before actually submitting them, so.
The day we were meeting was the deadline for letters of intent to go in. Companies, providers that are going to apply for the BEAD funds had to submit letter of intent. So I see a couple of our local providers did submit letters. So I expect we'll see at least 2 applications, hopefully more. Nothing else on broadband, no.
Thank you. County Economic and Community Development.
I threw that on there kind of as a placeholder. I thought we'd have another project maybe to discuss today, but that didn't come in either.
Okay.
Didn't want to, and I know, just as an aside, the chair has kind of brought up a couple things regarding economic development. I've had a couple conversations last week at a meeting about what counties are doing, and I think we'll have something to talk about.
Oh, fantastic.
With that.
That's
Just one
awesome.
thing related to the Planning Commission, the comprehensive economic development strategy the region puts together. That's Visions Northwest and the Planning Commission. Some people probably got invites. There's this meeting on Wednesday at Flat Creek from 10 to 2, where they'll be going through putting together the SEDS.
Excellent. Good stuff. Thank you. Historical Society, I don't think is here. Any future agenda items? Oh.
Yeah, I'm not thinking new, which we did the walkthrough a year or more ago. Yeah, so the DNR is using that as a seedling nursery. Seed nursery.
They're gonna just continue doing what they're doing?
Yes.
Yeah, the DNR said that they're not selling, if that's what Yeah.
I missed, board appointed committee updates.
That would include Indian Head Community Action Agency. We finally had our orientation session on September 12th. Learned a lot more about the details of what that agency's been up to over the years. It's rather interesting to see the history of it because they've really scaled down their operation compared to what it was about 8 or 10 years ago. It's about 1/4 the size in terms of its budget, annual budget of what it was a decade ago. So it's changed its focus too. Used to be in a lot more things and they've kind of narrowed it down. Pre-K, and stuff like that are a big thing. Yeah, it's, and we're just, we've got more stuff on the schedule for November too. We've got training for new board members. There's myself and about a half a dozen other folks who are just new to the board, and we've got some more training on different committees, subcommittees coming up. So still trying to get my head wrapped around all the things they do and that sort of thing. But it's slowly starting to crystallize. The other entity I'm assigned to is Northwest SEP, and as mentioned previously, they've had some financial difficulties, but their new leader, Skylar Durrell leader, she's the new executive director. She has really taken the bull by the horns and has made some serious changes in getting them on a sound position. They've been aggressively cutting the staff, reducing hours, just getting down to the bare bones and getting their staff trained, their training up to date so they can provide the services to meet the needs of the State Department of Workforce Development. And they've closed the Spooner office. They're working to downsize their Superior office lease, more appropriately with what they downsized that office functions to. So they're getting back to basics and doing what they need to do to, provide a path forward to being financially solvent and still be able to grow as needs for their services grow. So I'm really encouraged by what I see there, and just talking to some of the other board members, they seem to feel the same about that. So, October 16th is our next board meeting up there. So look forward to that one.
Stacy, you have a question?
No, I was going to give an update. So September 22nd through the 24th, I attended the Wisconsin Counties Association Conference in La Crosse. And I think every board member should at least attend one of those, in my opinion, because it was really informational on parliamentary procedure, just interactions with other board members, with the community, how to keep our county strong, not just economically, but getting people, to support the growth of the county. So just really good information, and I'm happy to represent Sawyer County when I can.
Thanks for going to that, Stacy, and Steve, thanks for that report on your subcommittees. Any future agenda items? In that case, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.